Can a search engine help in the battle against climate change? Thanks for being with us for another Techstination interview. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us is Ruby Au, North American head of Ecosia. Thank you for joining us, Ruby.
Thank you, Fred. Happy to be here.
Well, give us an overview to begin with of what Ecosia is.
Ecosia is, in essence, a green search engine. So similar to the search engines that you pull up on your computer and use every day, you type that into Ecosia, we'll pull up the search results, same as any other search engine. Now, the main difference is when you use a search engine, you'll notice that there's always some ads at the top of your search results. Maybe they're on the side. But what happens is when you click through on those ads, the search engine is actually making advertising revenue in the background. Now, your normal search engine will just reinvest that into their company, or maybe they'll pay it out to shareholders. But what Ecosia does differently is they take 100% of profits and they reinvest it into tree planting and climate action. At least 80% of that financing goes into our tree planting projects all over the world. We've actually planted over 123 million trees to date. And then about 20% of that goes into other projects like supporting climate activism, renewable energy projects, or regenerative agriculture projects.
How did this come about?
Well, it's a funny story. Our founder, about 11 years ago, was traveling the world and really seeing the impacts of climate destruction and the way that humans are interacting with our planet and how it just wasn't sustainable. And so he set out on a mission to plant as many trees as he could to try to stop or stem this tide of destruction. What he did was look around for what's a lucrative business model? How can I make a lot of money so that I can finance tree planting? And he stumbled across search engines as a business model that makes quite a lot of profit. And so he had this innovative idea of, can I connect this completely separate thing of search engine searching, but very powerful in that it's an everyday action, right? It's an everyday user behavior. And can I take that and connect it to climate change and social impact? And 11 years later, here you have us.
Well, creating a search engine seems like it would be a pretty intensive task involving a lot of coding, et cetera. Is that the way it was done, or is it using some of the technology that was out there?
A little bit of both. It was definitely a trial and error process in the beginning. Our founder actually originally set up this entire thing in Nepal, and then quickly realized Nepal isn't the best place to try it because internet connectivity isn't so great. And so he came back to Germany, where we're now headquartered, tried it again there. And it was a lot of bootstrapping at first. For years, we were a very, very small team, trying to use personal resources, whatever we could to build it up. But very happily, we also ended up teaming up with Microsoft, which is one of our bigger search partners now. And we were able to work with them to really scale up our search efforts and then build the platform that you see as Ecosia today.
What do you say to people who might be skeptical about all this? I'm sure you run into that all the time. Why should they trust that you're doing what you say that you're doing, and that this isn't being used for other purposes? How do you get around that kind of skepticism?
Mm-hmm. What we very quickly realized at Ecosia is that our user trust is one of the biggest assets we have. Because if you think about it, if our user doesn't trust us and doesn't trust that we're planting the trees that we say we're planting, why should they use us over Google, or why should they use us over any other search engine? That relationship that we have with our users is the one thing that keeps them coming back to Ecosia. And so a lot of investment goes into our side storytelling. And so we send out our teams onto the ground to where we're planting trees, whether that's in the deserts of Burkina Faso or rainforests of Brazil. We'll do a really painstaking documentation to get photos, get video footage. And we really just try to practice transparency as a company, even down to, if you go on our website, you'll see our monthly financial reports published. So any person in the public can see how every dollar and cent is being spent at Ecosia. Whether that's how much we're paying our salary, how much is going into our tree planting portfolio, how much of that is going to other grassroots projects. And it's that level of transparency that has really allowed us to develop that trust and user relationships over the years.
Terrific that you're that open. Now, tell me about the user experience here, how they can make use of Ecosia, and I guess there are a couple of different ways.
Right. So without getting too technical, the simplest way is to really go onto our website, ecosia.org, and there you'll be able to install Ecosia, usually as an extension to your browser. That's one of the easiest ways. And that means every single time you log on, you'll just see Ecosia pop up as your search engine. As soon as you start searching, you'll have a little personal tree counter in the upper right-hand corner of your website that shows exactly how many searches you've done, and as a result, exactly how many trees you've helped us plant. It's a really good feel-good way to start off with your morning or your technology day, is just seeing that little icon and that reminder that what you're doing online is making a difference.
Now, do people create an account with you so that if they go to another device, that the tree counter continues, or the searches get saved in some way?
They can do it both ways. So right now, if you sign on with your phone, or excuse me, if you download Ecosia on your phone versus your desktop, it won't automatically connect those two counts. You'll see them separately on both devices. But we've recently launched a new sign up feature. You can find it again on our website. And you can essentially create an account that links together all of the searches across all your devices. So that's uniform. So both ways is fine. If you prefer to use it, just across your devices separately, that's fine. If you prefer to kind of access that sign-in feature, then you can do that as well.
A lot of people are concerned about privacy, et cetera, when they're searching. So do you provide that kind of functionality as well?
One of the key reasons that we exist at Ecosia is to plant trees, but behind that is also the story that we're an ethical tech company. So we exist to do good in the world. And for us, that means not only the environmental impact, but it also means respecting user privacy. As such, we're a completely privacy-friendly search engine, actually one of the most privacy-friendly in the world. We don't use any third-party trackers. We encrypt all your searches. We also don't permanently store any of your data. So once it kind of hits our side, it's always deleted after a few days. And that's extremely important to us, again, to have that user trust and to bring the narrative completely in a full circle, right? We are an ethical tech company and we'll do everything that ethical tech requires and to live up to that standard.
Where do you go from here with this? Is it simply a matter of continuing to expand the user base?
It is. It is. We're now growing very, very quickly. To give you an idea, it took us about 10 years to plant 100 million trees. And our goal for ourselves this year is to plant another 100 million trees. And so that curve has just grown exponentially up as we've gotten more and more user support. So expanding into new markets is definitely part of it. The second part, I think, is now also starting to think about diversifying our product beyond search. So what other everyday actions can we tap into to help users make that impact? Just a few months ago, we launched a new product called Tree Card. It's the world's first wooden debit card, but about every $60 that you spend on that card will go to planting a tree with Ecosia. And we simply take that from the merchant transaction fee that is being made in the interchange between your transaction and the merchant receiving the money. So that for us is another example of, just tapping into the everyday actions that you as a user and a consumer, you're already doing. No extra effort on your part, but we can divert some of those resources to environmental good.
You've touched on some of the places already, but give us more of an idea of where the work is being done in planting the trees.
It is truly all over at this point. We are in 47 projects across 26 different countries. A few of our most popular ones, you'll remember Australia, the wildfires a few years back caught global attention. When that happened, we started planting trees in Australia and were able to help reforest about 26,000 there right after the wildfires. We're also planting in Brazil and the rainforest there. Across the African continent, countries like Kenya, Tanzania, Burkina Faso, Senegal. Also in Asia, we're doing a lot of work with palm oil restoration in Indonesia. So it is truly a global effort where we're just everywhere in all sorts of planting projects.
Well, congratulations on the work that you are doing. The website, once again, is Ecosia, ECOSIA.org. Ruby Au, thank you for taking the time with us.
Thank you, Fred.